Good morning, everyone. It is another lovely day in Las Vegas, and today it's all about dancing. School dancing. Schools that dance. We're going to be talking about how you get that big brick building to... No, not quite.
It's a pretty exciting thing, making a building move.
This is Arnoldo Offermann. For those of you who don't know, most of you know who this is. This is the version of Arnoldo that only has had 2 hours of sleep last night. So this could be an interesting show because we're going to talk about school dances. We're going to talk about all those things that we're not happy with at the hotel. We're just going to go off.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we'll stay away from that for a while. I got to go over here. So, Arnoldo, give us the little quick. What are your thoughts with Mobile Beat? Well, before we get into answering some questions or talking dance stuff, what's your thoughts with the show so far?
You know, it's definitely been a lot better organized. You walk in, it doesn't feel like it's a cluster mess of people trying to figure out where they're supposed to go. Ryan did a really nice job of making sure that the room block is right where, the seminar rooms and everything are. So you just go down from your hotel, and you're pretty much right there. Yeah. The overall layout's really nice. Red Foo absolutely killed it yesterday. Jason Jana, he's Jason Jana, so he had everybody hyped up. And if you can make a bunch of DJs actually dance versus just doing this with their phones the whole time, you're doing really good. So he killed it. I actually got to stand behind the EVs and even behind the system. My head was rattling. It was amazing how much bass there was. So that was really nice. My hotel room's really nice. I like the hotel room. The staff, not so much. Not the Mobile Beat staff. Mobile Beat staff's always good.
Yeah.
The hotel staff, they're friendly, but let's just take that first letter out of that word, friendly. Forget my draft.
So it's been a really cool thing, and I've really enjoyed the show so far this year. We've been talking about it a little bit. Let's get back to the Red Food thing. Did you get a chance to see him during his presentation?
I did not. We were setting up for the ADJ booth. So.
Yeah, and that of course looks really cool in exhibit hall. It's just a nice room, but the charisma that he has is just incredible. I was really, you see his work and we see what he's done on that side of it, but geez, when he's up there on stage and his way of just talking and engaging the room and really from something he doesn't do all the time, the way he was able to basically grab the room was really, really quite cool.
Oh, absolutely.
And then what I've heard from the show last night, unfortunately I didn't get to see it because that was time for me to go eat finally, is that he just killed it last night.
Oh yeah.
I've not heard anyone say bad.
No, he definitely did. It was... it was one of those things that a lot of us internally were asking, okay, well, what's Ryan going to do to really step up from Jazzy Jeff? Because that's kind of the pinnacle of DJs right there. So where do you go from Jazzy Jeff and taking it in a whole different direction from the DJ-based performance to a MC-based, the really high part of the performance, a party rocking thing, per se. That was a really nice way to really step it up. So next year, I'm really curious what's going to happen. I'm really excited to see.
It's going to be awesome. He's going to bring in... He'll bring in an adult contemporary person who will sing show tunes. It'll be awesome. Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
No, I'm not going to say. Anyway, let's jump into talking. We want to ask a few questions about school dances. These are a lot of questions that I've gotten. Hey, Ian, thanks for joining us here this morning. First off, Arnoldo, there's a lot of guys out there who I've been talking to them in the hall, and they're talking about how can I break into some of the kind of smaller schools. Because they see your videos, and you're doing some massive schools. You're doing some smaller schools, but the ones that I think that catch your attention are those massive dance systems you're doing. But if you're getting into a smaller school, in Minnesota, it'd be maybe a Class A or Class 2A school that has less than 100 students per grade level. So how would a person, start to make contacts and get into schools like that as a performer?
Well, there's 2 angles of attack that you really have to approach here, and the second angle almost has 2 angles on top of that too. First, is it going to be a public? It's like it forks out.
Okay.
Is it going to be?
We're
going to start with this part of the fork here, right? So, first of all, is it a public or a private school? If it's a public school, to me, it's a little bit easier because you really can understand what you're getting into. I don't want to hear they don't have any money. Well, that's there, perfect. Actually, no, we have one more. So one here.
Oh, there's another one over here.
Yeah. See, so the first one, the straight one, is public. That's a pretty easy path because public schools, the way it works is pretty much across the nation is the students raise money, and these are student-raised funds. Now, some federal or government funds can be used for school dances, graduations, any kind of non-educational stuff. But there seems to be a lot of misconception with DJs. They're like, well, why are they going to spend money on a DJ when they can use it for books? No, look, the money that they use for school dances is never going to go towards teacher salaries or books or anything like that. That money goes to whatever the students need because it's student-raised funds. So it's kind of really, once you get your foot in there as far as whether you need to make phone calls and start calling every single day, hey, who's the person in charge? Email them, send them old school mail, because it seems DJs forget that the mail system still exists.
Yes.
And they get tons of emails every day, they don't get so much mail. So you really want to reach them in lesser conventional ways. But once you actually do able to get a hold of them, the very basic question is, well, let me ask you, how many tickets are you currently selling? Well, we're selling about 75, 100 tickets. If you were to sell out, how many tickets would that be? Oh, if we sold out, it would be like, 250. Okay, well, why are you doing less than 40% of ticket sales? Oh, well, it's really expensive. Okay, well, and I've had students tell me, well, ticket sales are really expensive. I'm like, okay, I get that. But if I look out the door, I'm going to see cars nicer than mine. So it's not necessarily that it's really expensive. These students are going out to the movies every single day. They got Jordan's, iPhones. It's not that it's expensive. It's they think your dance is not worth the money. So what are you going to do to change the perspective of that dance? So once you really kind of break into that part and you make them realize that it's not as expensive as they think it is, it's just basic math. If they're charging, let's say, $12 a ticket and they only have 200 students, you're not going to charge $8,000 for the school dance. There's just no way possible. If they're having it at a hotel, encourage them to have it in their gym. I love my hotels. I just don't understand why you could have homecoming in a hotel. It makes zero sense to me. So really push the gym part. And there's always a little bit of backlash. Well, we've had it at a hotel for years. I'm like, yeah, but you're spending like $10,000 and you're going broke having it at a hotel. You have it in your gym for $5,000. I can give you a much nicer setup, and people are going to remember what that setup and the DJ performance is going to be like.
Right.
But with public schools, just basic math. Okay, so how much is, how many people do they have? How much are the ticket sales? And then you can kind of figure out. And as much as I want to say your DJ budget should be 100% of it, it's realistically not going to be, because a lot of that is usually a fundraiser for graduation, prom, whatever the case may be. So the DJ budget, you may have it go up from a 5% where we went to the DJ budget to now 20%. 20% is a pretty good percentage depending on some of these smaller schools, because again, that money has to go to different fundraising activities. If it's a private school, that's where we have that little fork that John drew. And in case you don't know what we're talking about, we have a little handy.
Our handy little diagram.
So yeah, so see, we got public school just right there, pretty easy. With public schools, we've got two different kinds, okay? We've got your typical public school, or not private school. We have a lot in Florida that have money. They have a lot of money because it costs a lot of money to get to these schools. Actually, there's one that it's cheaper to go to college than it is to go to the school.
Wow.
But what people forget is that private schools don't have as much public funding as a public school. That's why it's called private. Just a little secret. So
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I know, isn't that crazy?
Things we learn.
So that being said, all that tuition money that's coming in has to go to teacher salary, books, and everything else.
Yeah.
And a lot of these private schools are not doing any kind of fundraising because the parents are thinking, look, I'm paying $12,000 a year for my child to go to Hogwarts, so I'm not going to do another fundraiser on top of that. And if that happens, then you need to understand that you're not going to quote $5,000 for a school with 70 people. It's just not going to happen. So whenever I deal with these schools, I know right up front, and they tell me budgets are concerned. Like, I know your budgets are concerned, and I do the same thing. How many tickets? How much do you charge? Okay, great. So here's what I want to do. We got two different options. If you can work with me on the date, I can bring my price down considerably, and that's how I fill up my Fridays. We got a private school, and then Saturday the big schools. Now, with the other part of the fork with these private schools.
So that was.
Okay, so that was like.
So what would we call that?
Well, we're gonna call that poor private. Or low money private.
Okay, and this was private.
Yeah, and the next one's going to be yacht club private. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. This is a stereotypical view that people have of private schools, where you go in and everybody pays with money, and then it's like, excuse me,
I messed up.
May I use the facilities? And the student goes in the bathroom, and then they use the bathroom, and then they wipe their butt $100 bills. Yeah, those private schools, none of them exist in Florida.
So we've got, and I didn't get the yacht club. I screwed it up. So we went big money in the poor schools. Big money schools.
Okay, this is the schools where they make it rain on the teacher. All right. So that being said, those particular schools, you're gonna know you're gonna know who they are because they always do have the big productions already within the school. One of the easiest ways to find out is to look online and look at their theatrical plays. And if they're doing some crazy theatrical plays, like, okay, this school has money. Example, one of the schools in my area, actually, they don't have a lot of money, but they have enough. They did Wizard of Oz, and they actually brought in one of the guys from Disney that did the live version of Wizard of Oz, one of the cruise ships, to fly all the rigging gear in their auditorium, like just an insane amount they spent on this guy.
Wow.
Like 10 G's just for him to come out, not including the gear, capital, and everything
yeah.
else. But that being said, those are a little bit easier because those you can approach just like any public school. The most important part is that you don't act like a vulture when it comes to money. I cannot tell you how many schools I get, not because I charge more or I offer better service or that sometimes I charge less, because there's a lot of companies that, I don't want to say charge less because they charge less than I did. They charge less or they charge a certain amount and they gave no performance. Okay. And that's I tell my school, like, look, yes, this company may have only charged you $2,000, but your students left halfway through the night.
Yep.
So you basically pay $4,000 for a setup that was only worth $3,000. And the talent that was worth a heck of a lot less than that. But once you kind of break it down on what they really got per hour, that's like, look, you technically paid more. Suddenly $3,500 doesn't look so bad, does it? Yeah. When they stay for the full 4 hours and they're going to show up next year. But that being said, a lot of schools come up and, they're like, we don't really like interviewing DJs because they, know that we have money and they come to us like vultures. I'm like, that's exactly why I'm here. Because I hear how many DJs are coming up and I'm like, you know what? We want to work with this school. We'd like to lock you guys down for good. And the reason I know this is because these schools, there's part of the NASC, the National Association of Student Councils. Yep. And all these students have like weekly meetings in their district, right? Like D and then whatever the number is, district number, SGA. Then you have blank ASC. So if it's Florida, it's FASC. I'm guessing, Minnesota would be MASC, Arizona ASC, whatever. So they get together once a year as well. They have their own conventions, which by the way costs more than a DJ convention. Just really want to point that out. Next time you guys want to complain about the price of a DJ convention, even students pay more for a convention than DJs do. But anyways, back on topic. So they get together these conventions, and anytime it's in Florida, I do whatever I can to get my foot in there. Not only so I can really get my company name out there, so I can start getting feedback. Hey, what do you hear about this and this and that? And that's the thing. A lot of schools are tired of DJs and just companies in general jumping at them like vultures because they hear big money schools. Really, when it comes to public schools, all public schools have money. Some of them have a little in a more affluent areas than other. But I'm sorry, as long as iPhones are selling out on the first day, everybody seems to have money left over laying around. So these schools that are saying, well, we don't have the money. Yes, you do. Your ticket sales or your performance that you have, the DJ, lighting, whatever the case may be, just isn't worth the money that you're charging.
Yeah, cool. That's good. I like that ticket sales, how much for selling out. Good tip there. The next one I want you to talk about a little bit is how to, once you're into a school, and you were starting to head there with what the latter part here, and I was hoping you weren't going to go too far, so thank you for that. Once you're into the school, how do you keep the school? What are some of the things that keep you in the schools? Because you're in some schools, you are the guy, and you are there time and time again. So let's start with how to keep them, and then we're going to do a secondary one of how to keep those shows fresh. But so don't go into the fresh part. So let's do how to keep those schools that you have right now.
So number one thing is common sense, and that's pretty much report. And I don't mean report, like the typical sales report. Oh, make sure you're not a salesperson. Make sure you're a consultant. No, look, they're tired of that. That's how every vendor is. You need to be a little bit different when building rapport. I've got excellent rapport with my clients to the point that, yes, I had them on Facebook. We've gotten in political debates. We've gone out to dinner before. I'm not saying take all your clients to dinner, but just be friends with your clients. Really do your best to develop that relationship with the advisor.
You're talking rapport? There, advisor. That's right. Yep. Okay.
With the advisor, and even with the students, and that can be done via Instagram, Twitter. You got to be careful on Snapchat, so don't add people. Just have them follow you, because we don't need Jared the Subway guy being a DJ. If you get my drift. But it's one of those that the report really, really is key, and I've prided our company on the fact that I have done some major goof ups by accident, but we have some really good report that it hasn't been an issue. I'll give you an example. This past weekend, we were talking about, we did a new setup, and I'm like, look, let's keep the lights off completely this time, because they never really had a really, really bright light show before. I'm like, this is bright enough, we can keep the lights off. And she's like, well, we're just worried about students grinding, whatever the case may be. I'm like, no, I totally get that, but that's not how it's going to function. Somehow, I was doing texting and driving, but, text to speech, so I didn't read it. And Siri put, I want to, I'm like, I don't know how we got that from. That's not how it functions. So basically, I told my client I want to. Like, no. I pull over and like, oh my God. And I text him like, I am so sorry. Promise I wasn't hitting on you. Oh, no. It's just that Siri doesn't want to see my company succeed. I am very sure that somebody at Apple works for a competitor. This is weird stuff like that. One client texts me and she's like, hey, can we pay on this and this day? I'm like, yeah, it doesn't matter how I get paid as long as I get paid. No, it says doesn't matter how I get paid as long as I get laid. She's like, well, that's what it takes to get a discount around here. It's really one of those, people got to understand, these advisors are teachers. Teachers are people too, everybody treats them like, like they're their own teacher. And I can't tell you how many DJs I see, like, whenever I work one-on-one with DJs in consulting, I'm like, show me your emails. And I'm reading these emails, I'm like, dude, this looks like you're turning in homework. Like, you're not below them as far as, the authority scale. You're on that same plane. If not, you're technically sort of above, because if you're hiring them to work for them, you're never going to make it in this business. Mm-hmm. People are not hiring for schools only to work for them. They're hiring for schools only to work with them. Yeah. We are the ones in charge. We're not the, well, tell us what you want right down to the T. It's just, tell us the vision of what you want your event to look like. Great, we got it. We'll be back in a few hours. And we deal with the hotel. We deal with whatever the case may be. So because of that rapport kind of instinctively builds itself. Because I'm telling my client, hey, look, I'm doing this and this and this. Great, I'm so happy. As soon as they say great, when you say I'm going to do this and this, that means that they are putting you in that position of authority, right, that they trust you. If you keep asking, hey, could I do this? Could I do this? No, you're just putting yourself as, in a submissive position, for lack of better words. That's probably not the right way to say it, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So once you really have that rapport built, it's easy to continue going. All you got to, as soon as the dance is over, all right, when can I hit you up to talk about the, next year's dance? At some of my schools, they're booking prom as soon as the prom's over. Mm-hmm. Homecoming is a little bit different. It's up to the athletic director. Where it really gets screwy is when they switch advisors. And I really hate that. And that's really the only times that I really lose schools, is when they switch advisors. And at that point, it's, as soon as they tell you, hey, we're going to switch advisors. You don't say, well, can you pass my information to the new person? You don't do that. Mm-hmm. You ask them, can you send an email to the new advisor, copy me in, introduce us both? Great. And you better have some footage of last year's dance, because most likely the advisor doesn't have that footage, or wasn't there to see it, rather. So once you can show them a little bit of footage, like, look, this is how great the dance was. We do book out quickly. We really want to keep you as a client, because I don't want to have to worry about dealing with new clients and all that when I can continue working with you guys. How soon can we make this happen? Don't ask, would you like to keep going with us again? Just say, we want to continue working with you. Mm-hmm. And that's it. It's just plain and simple. And it seems a lot of DJs forget that all it takes to build that rapport is just simply ask for it. Mm-hmm. And easiest way to ask is just something as simple as a Facebook request. Now, for those of you that are saying, well, on Facebook, I want to be professional all the time, blah, blah, boring. Seriously. This is social media. People are used to it. And I tell my clients, I was like, hey, I just sent them a message on Facebook or whatnot. I'm like, thanks for the ad. This is my personal company Facebook, so please take everything I say at face value. And they're like, oh, no, same here. I'm like, okay, great. And I said, I've gotten in political debates with my advisors, or we've talked about everything from religion, food, whatever the case may be. They've seen my rants. They've heard me tell people to go F themselves. And they know that, when business is business, it's 100. That's all it is. We're professional. But we have now that personal connection. Yeah. And it really... even on things that are completely non-related. I had one teacher that posted that, again, we're in Florida, that they were looking at buying their first gun that belongs to them. And we were talking back and forth, and, well, long story short, we signed a contract at the gun range. It's just something a little bit different than most, but I guarantee you that none of the other vendors they've ever met with say, hey, let's go hang out, we can talk business while we're there, too. Mm-hmm. So that's the key part on report.
Yeah, very cool. I hate to admit this. I don't remember what the second part of the question was.
Fresh. Keep it fresh.
Keeping it fresh. Thank you.
For those days when you're feeling...
This is one of those times where, okay, gang, when I'm learning just like you are out there, when Arnoldo's sharing things, and I'm envisioning that how to do those things. So I'm actually listening to it, and then it's spaced out. So keeping those shows fresh. Now, we got the rapport, which I think is you're talking about, that great advice, great advice. But keeping that show fresh, because you're seeing some of those kids, what, 4 times a year?
Yeah, several times. I mean, depending on the school, it can be even more than that.
Wow.
Because these students are going to other schools and they'll come up and it's like, oh, you DJ at my prom last week. So.
Oh wow, that
yeah.
was really.
Well, I actually had a gentleman that asked me why on my videos I tell my DJs to submit their playlist every single night. And my guys do not get paid until I see that playlist. That's part of their job. And the reason is because I want to make sure they're not doing the same thing again and again and again.
Sure.
I tell my guys, you're not performance DJs where you're presetting everything. I don't want to see that. If I look through the computer and I see a crate that says stuff I'm playing at homecoming, no, you're done. I don't want that. I want the shows to be buzzed, to be mixed completely live, where, yes, they can pull some of the hot tracks ahead of time, but I don't want to see that repetitive set again and again and again and again.
Right.
There's a few sets that, are your power sets, and you are going to do multiple times, and that's perfectly fine. But once you get a student come up, it's like, wait a second, you played that last time. And I remember, it really got me, because there's a power set that I used to do, and then I did it twice in a row, and I heard a student's like, oh, watch, he's going to mix into this. I'm like, dude, how the hell did you know? Oh, you did that last time. Like, so that kind of was like a little bit of a wake up call. Okay, these students are understanding and they're watching us more than ever because they want to know, is this guy really mixing? So that really helps kind of keep the show fresh because it's forcing you to, because you're not playing the same tracks again and again. Same thing with the hyping and all of that. But as far as the music, no, you shouldn't be sitting there pre-planning your playlist ahead of time. That's stupid. That's what the DJs that are losing business to me are doing. I'm not expecting everybody to have a photographic memory of what's in, in every single one of the years of songs or whatnot. Like if you ask me to go to a school right now with a whole different demographic, I know right now I can pull a set without zero preparation, but that's just how I personally do things.
Right.
I know some guys have to prepare somewhat, but when you're sitting there preparing every single song, even if you're saying, well, I don't prepare the order, I just pull out all the tracks I'm going to play that night, no. Because you don't know that crowd. You don't know what they're going to vibe to. You know how years and years ago, I actually had, I can't remember who it was that called me, but another DJ called me the crunk specialist. So I kept on like, hey, that's kind of clever. Because I did a lot of, trap before it was called trap. Did a lot of hip hop, did a lot of club. And I didn't do too much of the top 40 throwback type stuff. And I had a student ask me for Barbie Girl. I'm like, I don't know how that's going to work. Then another student asked for it. And then Kelly, Kelly, we were actually just talking back and forth. We were texting, and I'm like, yeah, somebody keeps asking me for Barbie Girl. He goes, oh, dude, I played that last week, and that went over well. I'm like, okay, why not? I'll give it a shot. So we played that, and, the whole place went crazy. So for a few years, that was like one of my go-to songs. Like, I'm definitely knocking out Barbie Girl. And it's crazy because these kids weren't even conceived when that song came out, and they remember that. They can't even remember, like Pythagorean theorem, but they remember, you can touch, you can play. So, but that being said, if I had sat there and pre-planned all my tracks that I was going to play, that would have never happened.
Yeah, for sure.
It forces you to think. I'm not. And please don't wait till the very last second to pull up a track. Sometimes you may pull 2 or 3 tracks while you're in the middle of the set, but that's because you're feeling something. The way I see it is, if when you're listening to a song, just so you're in the car, you're driving, when you're listening to a song, if you're not hearing 2 or 3 songs that would go excellent with it, you really should. Because otherwise, you're not ready for that kind of improv mixing. And that kind of improv mixing is really what puts you on having fresh shows every single time.
Improv mixing, I like that term.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's cool. I got a couple of things. Let's talk about power set. You mentioned that. Let's kind of define that for us a little bit and maybe give us a couple of examples of what that would look like in a show.
It looks like this. Ah!
Great. And you defined it, and well, that was
I did too much over the dancing for you. So the power set is the point, that whether you call it the turn up hour, the crunk hour. There's so many different names that I've called it before. There's 2 different parts, right? There's one usually that I do in the maybe first 45 minutes, 30, 45 minutes. And that's where, there's always students that are just kind of standing off to the sides.
Yep.
And then DJs are like, well, how do we get them out to the middle of the dance floor? All you got to do is ask them, juniors, seniors, where you guys at? Great. Grab somebody, bring them on the floor. It's called a homecoming dance, not a homecoming sit and stare. And just a line that simple gets them to come out on the floor. I know, crazy. You ask people and they do it. Remember the power of the microphone. You tell them to do something, they will do it. Remind me to tell you a funny story on that later. But
sit and stare.
Yeah, no, on the making them your minions. So, anyways, it's just something as simple as being able to get them up, on the floor, just asking them. But then you have, once you have them up there, you really got to make that energy set go up. And obviously EDM is pretty much the easiest way to do that right now. You know,
Right.
so whether you got glow sticks, black lights, strobes, these are all keys at a school dance to really get them up and dancing and just jumping around, whatever the case may be. But then, you know, or then I would usually right after the King and Queen around 10 o'clock, you know, we get everybody all hyped up again. And that's what we just do, like a really hard, heavy EDM set, flash and trash when it comes to lighting. That means that everything is just on and it's just like literally just going absolute and insane. You know, it's like, look, if you're epileptic, I'm sorry, you're going to die. And I've made that joke before. We had one where it was called EDA, or what was it? EHC, so it was an electric homecoming carnival, or electric homecoming instead of electric daisy carnival, right? Instead of EDC, and you know, we told them, was like, all right, guys, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna turn off all the lights. We had all their phones go on, and you know, basically we just had all their lights on, which was the coolest thing because it lit up the entire gym. It's crazy that our cell phone lights can now light up an entire gym, but that's what happens when we have 900 students doing it. And once that song faded down, right before the bass drop, I'm like, all right, guys, you guys ready for the lasers? They were all going nuts. I'm like, if you guys are epileptic, I'm sorry, you're gonna die. And then bam, the strobes went on, and it was crazy. And one guy comes up and like, hey, thanks for telling me that, because I actually do have epilepsy. I'm like, look down, my dude, you're gonna. So, it was fun. You know, we all had a lot of fun with it, but that was it. It was just, we called it a power hour, but we really had them worn out after like 15, 20 minutes. But then after that, I mean, it was still upbeat, but then we were jumping to different kinds of EDM, transition between EDM and hip-hop. But at that point, from that last 2 hours, those are the most crucial 2 hours of the dance. That's what people remember. You know, that's where you can lose your crowd if you're not really hyping them up. And I'm not saying keep it lame the first hour, but there are plenty of songs. It seems a Lil Wayne is coming out with a song every 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. So there's always some rap song, there's some EDM song, there's always something you can play where you should not have to play tracks twice. But it's as I said, just get that power hour, come up with your best stuff. If, you know, I've had a lot of like Latin schools too, so that point is where I'll try to find EDM remixes of a lot of Latin stuff and almost make it into a Brazilian carnival type of experience. You know, throwing glow sticks out, throwing the big foam sticks, whatever the case may be. You know, we had one school, it was a Back to Bedrock theme. It was a whole dinosaur theme. So what do we throw out? Inflatable dinosaurs. Because why not?
Yeah.
And, you know, people went absolutely crazy about inflatable dinosaurs. If you guys remember, you know, back when mobile DJs were interactive at weddings and they brought out the inflatable instruments, now that's corny. That works with school dances. I mean, do not bring somebody up on stage. All right, pretend you're playing this. Just throw stuff out. It doesn't matter what the heck you're throwing out. You saw DJs, well, you weren't there yesterday, but Mike Dussault with EV was going nuts, just throwing T-shirts everywhere, right? Yeah. Now, Mike Dussault is one heck of a hype man. I'm just saying, you know, like, he was there, like, even trying to throw Jason T-shirt. But these DJs are going crazy. Yeah. And one of the DJs caught a shirt that you knew was like 10 sizes too small. And they were like excited, like, free T-shirt! Do you remember Northern DJ? Yeah, of course you remember Northern DJ. But remember Bill Herman with Monkey? And he would throw the T-shirts out. And DJs were crazy about the T-shirts. Well, a high school student is even more crazy about free stuff than DJs are. I mean, I can sit there and say, who wants some, you know, water bottles? And people go, well, water bottles. Who wants some empty water bottles? It's just people like free stuff. It doesn't matter what it is, you know? So that being said, that's where, you know, the powerhouse where you really should be throwing out those glow sticks, foam sticks, whatever the case may be. You know, you can go all out, have the white gloves, you know, with a little light up tips or whatever it is. Just find something to really bring it out. Turn on all your lights at the same time. Just try to make your breakers trip is the best way that I call it. Crank it up, turn everything on.
Cool. I wanted to, you were talking props here at the end, so I want to continue on that a little bit. When you have, let's say you've got a dance and you know there's going to be 400 kids, do you bring multiple different types of props? Or do you bring like, okay, tonight, like last time I did glow sticks, this time I'm going to do glow tube? How do you handle that?
99.9% of the time it's glow sticks. Okay. You know, it's the cheapest way because, you know, I buy glow sticks by, you know, literally quantities of 20, 30, 100,000 at a time. Okay. So for my schools, it's much cheaper for them to do that. And I know a lot of people are going to ask, where do I get the glow sticks from? It used to be from Sultan Supply, and they're over with, so now it's pretty much been eBay. Or sometimes even Amazon. But eBay's been a pretty good bet. I got to find the name of my dealer. I'll send you a link. But we buy them in large quantities, and because of that, you know, people go nuts with as far as, you know, when I tell them, look, yes, we can bring out 100 foam tubes, or I can bring out 2,000 glow sticks. They're gonna go for the glow sticks. Right. Now, we've done the foam tubes before. I'll be honest with you. I think it's such a cool effect. I hate it. I hate foam tubes. Really? And the reason is, first of all, you gotta have somebody whose job is to sit there and unwrap every one of these stupid things and pull the little tabs. But then when you throw it, I don't know if you guys ever try to throw in a foam tube. They don't exactly fly. You know, it's the Patriots' perfect football because it's deflated and it really just doesn't go anywhere. And with that, we just lost a good number of viewers. But no, it's just like, like, wow, that was disappointing. And then I thought about putting it like in some sort of confetti cannon type device, and then we tried it in the warehouse. I'm like, wow, that was a bad idea. It just exploded it and went everywhere. It was pretty bad. So, I mean, yes, the foam tubes look really cool, and people go absolutely nuts for them. So, I mean, it is an option that we do have, and we've done it a few times. But the schools, when we really break everything down, glow sticks are our number one thing. We don't do beads just because, we want things that glow in the dark.
Right, yeah.
That's the big thing. People want things that glow in the dark. Now, granted, if you throw beads out there, people will go nuts about it, but it's the concept of what happens when you throw a bead that a lot of schools, at least in my area, get really scared about. So, as far as inflatables, we haven't done that too often. The schools will usually provide that.
Okay.
I don't want to deal with the inflatable business. I don't want to sit there and... No, thank you. I do not want to hyperventilate before an event. So if you guys want inflatables, great. We'll sell them to you if you want, but I'm not going to sit there and blow all those stupid things up. I have much better things to do than to sit there and blow inflatables up. But like I said, the dinosaur one, that one, crazy. Because we bought, a bunch of small ones, and then we bought like a big giant T-Rex, and people are crowd surfing or making a T-Rex crowd surf.
Cool.
That T-Rex was the most popular thing there, or person even. I'm pretty sure if they could, they would have voted him to be homecoming king.
Cool. Very neat. Okay. You mentioned barbecue earlier. Let's talk about the kids requesting classic older songs, like songs maybe from the 80s or 90s.
They don't.
You don't see that?
They don't. But that's because they don't think about it.
Okay.
So this is the way that I tell my schools when they say, well, the DJ played really old music. No, I totally get that. But it wasn't a DJ played old music. I guarantee you the DJ sucked. So everything that he played you didn't like. And they're like, well, it was like really old. I'm like, okay, well, hold on. Like, how old? Like, well, it was back like, 2006. I'm like, okay, well, that's really old. We've got a problem. But I was like, I'm like, okay, guys. And I play a quick video where, they're like dancing. I can't remember. It was like, I think it was Red Nose at that point. It was like a newer song. And then it goes into Yeah. And they're like, oh, that's my jam. And after Yeah, the video goes into Get Low. And they're like, oh, we love them. I'm like, okay, cool. Because those two songs are from 2001. So what were you guys saying about really old? They're like, oh. And then, like I did a set with I showed them another video of this, where they're going out crazy to This Is How We Do It.
Yeah.
The thing is, and I told them, look, here's the thing. It's not that your DJ played old music. He just sucks at mixing. And that's perfectly fine that he sucks at mixing because you guys aren't going to hire him again, right? And they're like, oh, yeah. So that way I have confirmation right there, not going to hire that DJ again. Done. Now we can keep going. So it's just those little subtle things you can do to kind of dig that in them. But, I told them, look, the thing is when you guys, you find a recent movie, and I tell them, okay, so let's say for now, it would be Deadpool. Let's pretend you're at school. I'm like, John, when you went to go see Deadpool, did you know the entire storyline?
No.
No, you went to go to be surprised, to be entertained, to be amused. Well, that should be the same way when you're there with a DJ. You're there to be entertained, to have a good time. If you know what he's going to play, and if this is going to be the same music faded in, faded out, why are you bothering with a DJ? Why not just get an iPod and fill it up with, student requests and just call it a night?
Right.
So if you guys want to do that, I can rent you an iPod, seriously. And I'll just rent you the equipment, and then I can send my DJ to another school and do twice as many events. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, we don't want that. I'm like, exactly, because you want somebody who's going to mix the music and do something crazy with it. And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, okay, so it's not that the DJ played bad stuff. It's just that he didn't mix it. He didn't catch you by surprise. He didn't have that oh moment where you play a song and the whole crowd goes, oh, because that's their jam. And because, once I have that mentality, or once I have them with that mentality, that's why we get away with, doing like EDM remixes of popular stuff. Or we have like an EDM remix of Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. And I love that because at first, when he starts, doing the first couple of stanzas of the song, people are like, wait, what is this? Oh, this is Living on a Prayer. And then they went up singing to the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And they go nuts, or, Journey, or whatever the case may be. We don't do a lot of that. We just really kind of sprinkle it throughout the night. The reason is because it's music that the administration knows. So I get admin really not telling me what to play music-wise when they hear a song every, 30, 45 minutes that they recognize.
Sure.
The admin, people keep thinking admin is like, they're still like, they were born in the 60s or something. Keep in mind, your average teacher nowadays is, almost our age. So whatever music that we like, most likely that administrator or the teacher is going to like as well. So, whenever I do the throwback stuff, they're like, oh, that was my jam, and they're out there dancing. If you get the teachers dancing, if you do play a song that's a little bit somewhat more risque because, it says bend over, make your knees touch your elbows, they're not going to freak out on you as much because, they know that you're really mixing it up. We have one school where, the whole set was just tons of variety, but it was mostly newer music. And it was really well mixed and everything. One of my lecturers, Kelly, he mixed that thing flawlessly the whole time. And the administrator in charge goes, I loved it, but it was just the same stuff the whole time. It was like the same beat. And I'm like, well, thank you. We appreciate it because that means that we went so seamlessly, you didn't even notice when the beat changed. He goes, wait, the beat changed? And we showed him the plays. He goes, wow, I didn't even notice that. But then I thought, I'm like, it's because he didn't recognize any of those songs.
Oh, yeah.
So then next year, mixed it up, and then we did some songs that he knew. He goes, oh, I love how you really played a huge variety. I'm like, yeah, it was pretty much the same type of set where we jumped from this genre, but not because we played stuff that he would recognize, again, throwback stuff, whether it was Barbie Girl or this is how we do it. That changed the whole landscape of things.
Cool. That's interesting. How that idea of working it in and keeping the advisors
Exactly.
in
And
there.
real quick, I want to add, because you mentioned requests. Yeah, we take requests, and I tell the students we take them, but we don't always honor them because just because it's in the top 40, just because it's popular, doesn't mean it's danceable. Let's pick on Rick Ross. Can anybody tell me a single Rick Ross song that's danceable?
Yeah.
There isn't, but he was, he had some Billboard top 100s. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of and people felt sorry for his bad ticker. But I know that's horrible. I'm going to hell. But and I tell school like Rick Ross really isn't danceable. I'm like, no, you're right. I'm like, look at Drake. This is the year of Drake. Drake actually has music that's really popular in the club. But prior to, a lot of Drake's hits were, there's nothing really you could do with it.
Right.
So I tell them like, look, we play stuff you can dance to. Can we all agree that it's stuff you can dance to? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there has a comfort of, what they expect. And they'll always ask, well, can we submit a play? I'm like, you can submit songs that you like. You cannot submit, this is what you have to play, because otherwise, we're not the company for you. We're not jukeboxes. We're here because you trust us to be your DJ. If, whether it's me or somebody else, if when you meet with them, you don't trust them to handle your entire, like you should be able to say, I'm not going to submit any songs at all and have full confidence that they're going to rock out that dance. And if you don't feel that way, then you should not even hire them. Don't even look at them. Move on to the next person till you find somebody that you could trust without submitting a playlist.
Yeah, good. Cool. I like that. I like that trust and relationship stuff.
It is. And again, it goes right back into building that rapport with the students because they trust that you're going to play the right songs for them.
Cool. Next, talk a little bit about when you mentioned, of course, that just pushing play, fading in and fading out kind of a thing, because that's the iPod. With songs, though, there's some songs, and I've seen some of your playlists and such, you're playing short clips and sometimes you're playing more of the song. Mm-hmm. How do you judge how much of a song to play? Is there a rule of thumb? Or is
there is, and it's very tricky, and this is where I tell my schools, because they're like, well, the DJ cut songs off too early. I'm like, I get that. Jerk is still popular. People still request it. It's 4.5 minutes long. How many of you guys want to sit there and do the jerk for 4.5 minutes? They're like, oh, no. I'm like, yeah, so you have to mix out of it early. The thing is, you have to really know the music. And our DJs know the music because they actually enjoy the music, not because it's their job. So, for example, if we're playing Jumpman and we see that, people are, not dancing to it after, 2 minutes or so, we may mix out of it early. But we're not going to skip Future's part because we know you guys want Future's part. Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, you're right. I'm like, exactly, in the sense that, you sit there, you're getting ready to do Future's part. It's like, they make something else, like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
And that's, you're going to get students coming, he's like, dude, you suck. You just cut off Future, man. Future's the next Tupac, man. I freaking hate Future. I would love to be able to just do a rap career by putting marbles in my mouth and going, anyways, ask me how I really feel.
So any wonder why Siri's hating you? But anyway, keep going.
But you know what? What's crazy? His music is so catchy, like Fetty Wap. I can't stand Fetty Wap, and yet the more I hear Trap Queen and 6, 7, 9, these, I'm like, man, these things are really catchy. The dude makes a catchy hook. I gotta give him that. But that being said, I go over this with the students, and I tell them, it's kind of like really feeling out the crowd. Stuff like Cha-Cha's, it's like 5.5 minutes. And no disrespect to Casper, the dude really made a jam there, but I don't want to sit there and side to the left, or whatever it is. I don't want to sit there and do that for 5 minutes because 4 hours, and after you get rid of the king and queen dance, you maybe have let's say 3 hours and 45 minutes, but then you got the first 20 minutes of people coming in. So now you got right around 3 hours and 30 minutes, whatever the case may be. And it's, it's like, that's not a lot of songs if you play the whole thing. And I tell the students, like, guys, that's maybe 60, 70 songs. which sounds like a lot until you realize there's 900 of you asking for all sorts of different things. So you kind of got to mix out of some stuff early, and that's how you keep your your dance floor fresh. And they're like, well, no, that makes sense. We just don't want you to cut out the really popular songs. Like, no, I totally get that. And I'll give an example. Like, there are some songs that we play all the way through. There's some songs that we don't. Like, Turn Down for What? Great, but it's 4.5 minutes of Turn Down for we may mix out and go into something else, and I'll give them some examples of how we do that. And I tell DJs, whenever you're first starting in a school game, you bring your turntables or controller or whatever with you, and you mix in front of them. This is an audition. This is not a consultation. Mm-hmm. You see, the difference between a consultation and audition is, a consultation is if you're going to go to a lawyer, a proctologist, something's going to come out of your butt. Nobody wants that, nobody ever says, I'm really looking forward to this consultation. Nobody's ever said that. But we're DJs. We're rock stars. We're the reason people are coming to these dances. At weddings, it's all about the bride and groom, which kind of, sort of, that's a whole different topic. But at school dances, it's all about the DJ. They're not there to look at the decorations. They're not there to eat, food that's dying out because, the students haven't touched it because they already ate before they ever got there. They're there to dance. Right. They're there like, let's see if this, and they're like, let's see if this DJ is going to suck. They're not asking, let's see if this DJ is going to be good. Like, oh, I bet this DJ is going to suck. So until you get your foot in there, you really want to go in there and audition your butt off. Yeah. Bring your system. Nowadays, I don't have to do that because I have enough footage and people know who we are. Mm-hmm. So until you get to that point, you really want to bring your system every single time and just kind of go over and say, look, here's an example. And I used to do live transitions, and they're like, oh, that was awesome. Like, well, cool, because I just played that song for only 2.5 minutes. Like, oh, but we like that. I'm like, exactly. Again, it's not that your DJ cut off songs too early. Your DJ didn't know the music, and your DJ probably sucked at mixing. Hey, let's talk about how your DJ mixed last time. Oh, well, he didn't. And therein lies a problem.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Got a couple more topics. Let's jump to the making the minion one, where you were using the students as your minions, which I think is the dream of all of us.
Well, that's it. You gotta understand, and the way that you MC, the way you play music will completely change. I promise you, it'll change once you realize how much control you really have over the crowd. A couple examples. When I was getting ready for the King and Queen dance, I had to stall a little bit. So we're just making some basic announcements, and then we did the class calls. Like, all right, let's see which one of you guys showed up the most. Freshmen, I know it's past your bedtime, but if you're still here, make some noise. Usually gets a pretty good laugh. Yep. And they're all, cheering. I'm like, and then seniors, and they're like, yeah, no, seniors. And they start cheering louder. I'm like, seniors, and I just went like that, and they stop. I'm like, okay, this is really cool. Let's try this again. Seniors, stop. And we were doing it for like a few seconds. I'm like, really slow. We were just having a little bit of fun with that. And, it was kind of cool because, it was a way for me to stall and have some fun with the crowd, but I also got some footage from after school dances to really show people, look, you really can control this crowd. It was one, I can't remember, I had a DJ that came with me that, was kind of tagging along, and we were talking about that at one of the dances, and he's like, well, how do you can't get them to do anything you want. I'm like, oh, yeah, watch this. So, we had students, where they had their hands up, they were fist pumping. I'm like, all right, and then we play Who Let the Dogs Out. Y'all got to bark along. And, dude, I kid you not, this school, very urban school. I'm like, what up? What up, dude? They just freaking barked in the middle of a school dance. Let me see you do that at the club, son. So it is one of those, once you realize that, you got to build that trust. They're not just going to randomly do that. I have some schools that, we've never DJed before, and it really takes me a while to break to it. And most people would just give up, okay, well, I'm not going to be interactive. No, it's just they're not used to that. Yeah. You got to break through that interactive barrier without being corny, without being, too pushy. Once you break through that and they're actually vibing and going along with you, and you build that rapport with the students at the dance, then you can have them do whatever you want or whatever you need them to do. But this also means that if somebody's crowd surfing, look, my dude, I can't have you crowd surfing. We got lasers. If that hits you, you're going to be Helen Keller. That also gets a laugh, too.
Yep.
I don't know if it's too soon for Helen Keller. So, Helen Keller, if you're watching this, not like you can hear, but I apologize.
We're trying to offend everyone, aren't we? We're just going across the board. Is there anyone else we need to?
No. Okay, so I apologize to the Keller family. Lord forgive me, and the pygmies in New Guinea. That's Larry the Cable Guy, guys. So that's he's like a god in Florida. Get her done. Anyways, but no, it's once you get him to do whatever you want him to do, then when you have to make those announcements. Like we had one school where the students were grinding, and I don't mean grinding like normal grinding. I mean my subwoofer was gonna charge rape charges after the whole event was over. It was bad. It was glowing in the dark by the time this thing was over. It was a CSI episode. Do I really need to keep going? It was bad. Okay.
I think we get the picture.
So Yes, I could have gone to Mike and say, guys, please don't do that. I could have gone an administrator. No, I just want to like, dude, can you guys do me a favor? Can you just stop going all Miley Cyrus on my sub? Like, if y'all do it somewhere else, you get caught by the administration. I don't care. Just don't do it on my equipment. And they're like, no, it's fine. We no problem. And that was it. People worry about, they say, well, high school students or high school dances are tough because the students are rude and they say the DJ sucked. And I'm like, look, if you have one student come up to you and say you suck, well, that's probably just the student being bad. If you have several students come up to you saying you suck, newsflash, you suck. Change your game. If you're coming in, approaching it like a wedding, change your game. And I know it sounds mean, but it's just the honest truth. But that's also because they don't know who you are. They don't care who you are. You're a figure of authority, so they're going to try you. So you got to build a rapport with them, so that way, once you can control them on the microphone, do whatever you need to do, then you do have that rapport, and you can really have full control of that dance. Even for a safety factor, we've had a dance break out in the middle of a school dance before. A fight break out in the middle of a school dance before. At that point, we told them, like, look, guys, we need you to separate for just a moment. Admin came in, got them, was like, y'all got to knock this off, or we got to pack up and get out of here because we do not want to appear in a World Star Hip Hop video. And, again, they got a good chuckle out of it. After that, it was chill. It was no issue. We had one dance where, oh my goodness, I can't even believe what happened. But we always have ceiling tiles fall down.
Yep.
Not an issue. In this case, a ceiling tile with light fixtures went boom, straight to the floor.
Ooh.
Luckily, it missed the students. I'm like, okay, look, there's a lot of bass here, but there's not that much bass. Where's the safety cable? It must have been a DJ that hung the ceiling tile. And the hotel's like, okay, we got to find a way to, we're going to get a ladder up there. I'm like, okay, do we need to clear the entire floor? And they're like, yeah, we're going to have to do something. Like, okay, well, do you mind? Because I don't want to just kill the dance. That's going to be a problem. Can we move them to the other side of the hotel room? They're like, yeah. So we cleared a few tables, and I'm making announcements, guys, I need you to do me a favor. We're going to make a train. You guys come over to this side over here. We're going to have you dance while we just fix a quick issue. And it was fixed. Students were continuing dancing with everything up and going.
Nice.
That was something that could have been an utter disaster, but because we had that control of the dance floor, we handled it very differently. And the administration saw that, and they took notice. They're like, we really like how you were able to do that without killing the vibe of the dance.
Very cool.
So that worked out real nicely.
Yeah. Very neat. I like that, the controlling.
Again, sorry, Alan Keller.
Yeah, you're just such a bad person. It gave me another question here. You mentioned, of course, doing interacting with the crowd. How much do you do? Now, you mentioned when you get into some new schools and they're not used to it, may have a different level. So just kind of talk about that a little bit.
So this is actually something we've debated between Kelly and for those of you guys that don't know, Kelly is the CEO of Aprim Entertainment. 4 Schools Only is a division of Aprim Entertainment, which is on its own. We're 2 separate companies, but we're still under one roof, if that makes sense. And we're still part of the Aprim Entertainment area. But anyways, so Kelly and I used to have this discussion all the time because he's like, well, I like, he goes, when I MC my schools, MC is kind of like, a spice, and you don't want to overspice food. And, that's very true for a lot of events. But I told him, like, yeah, but my high-paying schools want jambalaya, and I'm going to give them jambalaya. We're going to throw every bit of spice. And this is something I tell a lot of DJs and I tell a lot of schools. Hyping gets really annoying when the DJ says the same thing again and again and again.
Right.
And this is something that I really push, especially in my sales meeting. Like, the DJ gets on the mic and keeps saying, put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air. Seniors! Like, look, he's just regurgitating. He's not being interactive. He doesn't give a crap what you guys are doing, what you guys are feeling. He's just repeating stuff. Once the DJ, I don't know why I keep looking at this microphone like it's the camera. Once the DJ, I'm so tired. Once the DJ is at that point, you're not really going to reach that level of interaction. But you want a DJ that is actually vibing off the music, whatever the case may be. I gave an example. One of my guys, he had, right when the whole Meek Mill, Drake thing was going on, one of my guys, they did the whole where everybody turned their cell phones on. He did like an EDM song, and right, it just it came all the way down, and it started going into the back to back intro, and not Metallica, sorry, Drake back to back. And he's like, keep your cell phone lights on. Rest in peace, Meek Mill's career. The whole group got a good laugh out of it and all that. They started cheering. They were all singing along with the song. And my DJ was doing that. And by the way, if you sing along with the song, be very careful where you cut off. If you're doing like Get Low, how about you don't do the to the windows, to the walls part, because then they're going to say, oh, ski, mother, and you don't want to encourage them to do that. It's usually during the cussing where you want to hype up, so that way they're not shouting that, cuss word, even if your stuff is clean, which it should be, but even then they're going to shout the words louder, so you want to hype over that. But if you want to really vibe off of what the music's going, where it is, if like, for example, there's a local song by a group called Trill called Not Locked Down. huge in Florida. Actually, wound up being in a lot of different markets, but it's called Not Locked Down, and the chorus, starts with I'm Not Locked Down. So we timed it where right before the chorus starts, like, what's the name of this song? And then you get the students really shouting out with it. The easiest way to start hyping when you've never hyped before is just to turn into a karaoke session. Not you on the microphone. Nobody wants to hear you sing. I don't care how good you are. Nobody wants to hear you sing, but getting them to sing along with it too.
Yeah.
That's just a really easy way of hyping, getting people excited about it.
Very cool. There was one more thing. Let's talk about you mentioned the O moments, and
Yes.
we've talked about this kind of in some of the music
Real
shows.
quick, Ian, are you watching this while you're driving at the same time? He's on the highway.
Yeah.
My man.
I think he's saying his signal's spotty and such, and I think the internet looks like it's struggling right now. So if you guys are going to be probably watching this later as the recordings, we'll upload the full recording.
Absolutely. Hello to all of you watching Not Live. Should have tuned in.
Yeah,
If I can be awake, you can be awake.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're talking about
that's O moments. Let's kind of wrap up with that. Talking about what O moments are, and maybe share like a couple of hidden O moments that you weren't expecting, but it's like, oh my gosh, and then it became something that was more of a regular.
Absolutely. So the O moment is when you really catch them by surprise. It's like, oh, this is a track we weren't expecting it, and that's why when you're doing mixing, you really want to find out. And by the way, if you don't mix, that's a whole different topic there. But you're gonna get eaten alive at a school dance, plain and simple. No way to debate that. But when you're mixing in your stuff, a lot of times we'll do like layovers where we're gonna take the 32 beat intro, but we're not running it for 64 or 128 right before the song finishes or we mix out. So all of a sudden they're hearing this song, like we may be playing Red Nose, and then we're gonna take a reggaeton beat and we lay it over. All of a sudden they hear the toom 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 right over Red Nose. That bass line suddenly changes. You get because they weren't expecting that. Latinos are going to go absolutely crazy over that. So it's not just about playing a song that catches you by surprise. Like for us, it's always this is how we do it, because we do the Mayera, how we say, twerk remix, and it just starts with that clap 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 clap, and it goes right into this is how we do it. People go crazy because they weren't expecting that. They're just clap 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 clap, and then they hear their song. It's like, oh snap, they weren't expecting that. But it's also about finding creative ways to mix where it's going to catch them by surprise. Every time you get an O, whether it's at a school dance, wedding, whatever the case may be, that means you surprised them. When you're surprising them, it means they're really vibing to the music. They're not expecting what's coming next, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
That's what makes a great DJ. It's like, DJs talk about musical journeys and all that. I think a lot of that is just a bunch of fluff, like we're going to take on a musical journey. No, this dude wants to twerk with this girl, and you are going to facilitate said music. That's not a musical journey. That's hormones, okay? But if you can get them to sing along, if you can get them to have a good time, you can get that surprise, that moment. Not the face, almost said it wrong.
Yeah, you almost did.
No, if you can get that, the moment, that means that you really took the crowd by surprise, and you won that, because that's going to say, oh, this DJ was great, because every time, if you're getting them to cheer for every song you're playing, and we've had a lot of dances where like every song, it doesn't matter what the heck we drop, these people are going absolutely nuts. You've got a client for life. Not to mention you have some of the best footage of your life. And by the way, if you're not filming at your dances, you really need to be doing that, because that way it also helps you figure out what songs work, what songs didn't work. Again, using that Barbie Girl track, that was one that worked out really well. This is how we do it. The old school tracks are really getting more traction than a lot of the newer stuff, because that's all you hear when you go on the radio. And I tell this to the students too, like, look, if we play nothing but new music, you might as well just turn on an FM radio and call it a day. But when you're doing some of the throwbacks, especially Tootsie Roll, that one goes crazy everywhere.
Yeah.
People go nuts about it. I hear a lot of DJs where they don't play the typical line dances like Cha-Cha Slide or Cupid Shovel. Oh, it's played out. No, it's played out to you because you're a DJ. You do this all the time. Like on the wedding side here, I hate Celebration. It's so cheesy. No, it's not. You play it all the time. But people can turn on to the radio and listen to Celebration. And by the way, I've dropped Celebration in a school dance before. People go crazy. Michael Jackson, you want a simple O moment? Just drop in right when he does, what's it called? Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, where he does an ow. Don't even mix it. Just like slam right into it. It's going to catch people by surprise. They're going to cheer about it. Because, who doesn't love Michael Jackson? Like Dave Chappelle said, he made Thriller. But that being said, it's just about really, really being able to surprise them. Once you have them surprised at every song that you play, or at least the majority of them, you've got a client for life.
Cool. Good time enough for one more question, because you keep giving me more ideas here. And for those of you watching, we're internet's back and forth. We're going to upload the full video so you guys can go see that, because I think we lost it for a few minutes. I see a couple of people saying it was buffering. You mentioned filming. How does the permissions, and how do you handle that when it comes?
That's
to...
a tough question because I'm not a lawyer. Every state.
How do you guys? What do you?
So You know, YouTube has really changed the landscape of things. Social media has changed the landscape of things. Everything from filming at events right down to copyright. Like I was actually just on a small tangent because it leads to this. I don't know if you read, but Disney is now not suing everybody because, A, they really can't anymore. Otherwise, they'd be spending their whole time suing things instead of taking your money to theme park for parking. But I mean, no, because everybody's doing all these Disney covers, and ultimately it's promotion for Disney, right? Before, you would have never heard of it. If you told somebody, I'm going to do a Disney track and collect ad money on YouTube, they'd be like, yeah, you're going to get your butt sued. Right. But now it's coming less and less. I'm not a lawyer, so please do not take this for face value because I'm not going to be responsible if you wind up in trouble. But in this day and age where everybody is doing Instagram and Twitter and everything else, MySpace, yeah, just kidding. But in this day and age where everybody's filming, I don't see any schools even worrying about that anymore. You know, even if I use it for a commercial. And actually, how one school's like, well, you know, but you're doing a commercial. I'm like, you understand that everything on Instagram belongs to them. Everything on Facebook belongs to them. It doesn't belong to you. It is now commercial content. And they're like, oh, well, I guess that's true. You know, we just worry about our students acting a fool. I'm like, no, me too. I'm going to make sure that, you know, we only put good footage. That's really the other concern. Private schools are a different story. Private schools, like, no, look, we really have some students that don't want to be filmed, you know, because their parents bathe in money every day or whatever the case may be. And so, you know, they're just worried about it. Because, you know, if you see a student on a video, suddenly you know where that student lives. Yeah, that's how it works, right? So anyways, no. But that being said, we also see a lot of schools where they have, you know, either photo booths, which we have photo booths too. That really helps because we tell them, look, those photos go online. So they make every student has a ticket, sign a waiver form. Okay, I'm done. We're good.
Yeah.
You know, and I work with, you know, with my schools. I'm like, they know that we have the footage online. I tell them, we're going to give you guys a copy of the footage if you want. We use it for your commercial for next year. And because of that, they just don't care. I haven't had a single school tell me, okay, I'm lying to you. I did have one school with a officer that, you know, didn't know the law because it's illegal to film students. No, it's not. It's not illegal in any way, shape, or form to film students. Otherwise, we're going to have to arrest all these people. Well, we didn't get into it with him because we don't need the DJ getting arrested in the middle of the dance. But, you know, for the most part, we've never had an issue. With private schools, we do always double check for that. But with public schools, again, your market's going to be very different. But with ours, they already have to sign the waiver release form because of the photo booth or because they already have a photographer there taking videos or photos and videos, and that stuff goes online anyways.
Yeah.
So that works out pretty well. For those of you that don't know, you know, or aren't quite sure or don't know how to approach that, again, I'm not a lawyer, take it at face value, but sometimes it's best to do things and ask for forgiveness than to do it and get denied every single time. And this actually came from a couple of schools who were like, look, if we have to ask, they're going to tell us no every single time. That's why students don't ask if they can bring their phones to a dance, because otherwise they get told, no, you can't bring your phone to a dance. But again, with this day and age of everything being online as far as video, a lot of that has really changed.
Yeah.
So we kind of use that to our advantage. And we tell them outright, like, look, we were going to post photo and video online. We're going to help with your marketing. So they know, yes, it markets us, but we're putting that to market their school dance for the following year.
Very cool. I had more things from that. We're going to use those in our next. We'll do we'll do this again here in a couple of weeks because I think there's a lot of good things. Because I want to talk more about the commercials and then of course the when you come in during the day. I want to talk more about that. So we got some stuff. We could keep going for a long time.
We could.
But we've got to both
sleep.
He needs to go get some breakfast, get some rest a little bit, because we got the exhibit hall here in a couple of hours.
Yes.
Arnoldo, if people want to go and find out more information, and we'll do the thing so you guys can click on Arnoldo during this segment so that you can go to his YouTube page. But if people want to find out more, where can they go to?
Well, if you guys are part of the new YouTube Blue service, you'll see my address posted right there. Just make sure you guys subscribe to YouTube Blue to see it. There's my address there and my credit card info.
Nice.
Okay. For the rest of you guys, make sure you go to I keep looking at this microphone. What? Make sure you guys go to masterschooldances.com. There's a whole bunch of great educational videos to give you all sorts of fun, non-offensive things that really show you how to market and sell the school dances and perform, and most importantly, not suck.
Yeah.
Did you know that the key to the keys to success, DJ Khaled, is not sucking?
Well. Yeah, I think we can pick that up in this conversation. You know, if you don't mix, if you can't mix, you suck. If you play the music, don't know the music, you suck.
And I say that in tongue in cheek, but that's really it, guys. If the students are telling you suck one after the other, you got to change your game. You got to find out why they think you suck, and just take that as constructive criticism, because that's probably about as nice as they're going to tell you that you suck.
And you mentioned, of course, that on the Master School Dances, it's not offending anyone. For the people who want to be offended, then they need to come and watch the live show that we do. The live
Yes,
chat.
the live shows. If guys, if you want to be offended, please come watch the live shows.
A couple of times a month, Arnoldo and a crew get together and talk about some of the things that are just wrong within the industry or just wrong. So you guys can check that out. We put all those links and such on Distract News TV. Arnoldo, thank you, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Good question. You guys got any questions or anything? Put those down in the comment section, out on the right side.
I'm going to ignore them.
Yeah, we'll ignore them, but we'll look at them and we'll laugh. You know, that's what it,
Look at this dumb question.
we're gonna put Siri on it, and she's gonna answer them all for you guys. We're at Mobile Meet Las Vegas 2016. This is Arnoldo, and I'm John. Thanks for watching.